Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Welcome to this week's GT Sport Daily Race C race review. We're in Group 4 machinery, we're at Circuit de Sainte Croix C2, which is the circuit in reverse. And after climbing back from SR8 to SRS, we have a very interesting close quarters battle with the Audi TTs. So here's the settings for this race: 5 laps of Sainte Croix C2, time at times 7, fuel consumption at times 3, which is not an issue. We've got the medium and the hard tyre available, and if you've seen the strategy guide you'll know that the hard tyre is mandatory, and there was the option to do a no stop just on the hard tyre or do the one stop, maybe splitting your medium tyres 3 to 2 with the hards, or 4 to 1 if you were in a car and were able to look after the tyres sufficiently. So here is the opening grid for the first race. We were doing the start from the back of the grid, non-qualifying strat here. We're on the Womble Boss account, so this is my second account, which I don't really give too much of a care about in terms of the driver rating, but I do always try my very best in every race. So you can see there we picked up a penalty for the slightest of nudges on the back of Fred Jaraf there, the Frenchman, and after serving that penalty it wasn't to get much better. We were stuck behind the Norwegian here and another Audi TT. The problem here being that people are driving these front wheel drive cars, completely destroying their tyres, and by the midpoint of the race they've got absolutely no corner grip or mid corner speed, and it's causing little incidents like this. So another slight tap on the Norwegian there, as I just can't predict his speed round the corner. He goes off the track, we get a 1 second penalty, and then as he recovers and we try to find another way around, another little tap results in another 2 second penalty for ourselves. And the sort of upshot of that was that our SR went from 99 down to 75, but we did manage to recover to 11th place there, just in front of King Ears. So shout out to King Ears, who comments on some of my videos. Nice to finally see you in a race, my friend. But yeah, not a very good start to our races there, it has to be said. So we went into the next one. We were in very much a bit of a naughty lobby. Still starting at the back, which is probably not a good idea when you're up against drivers who are, to put it kindly, not quite as quick as you, and certainly nowhere near as predictable as other drivers. However, we went in with the mindset we'll just keep our nose clean, take no risks, and just work our way through the pack, and that was all going very well up until this point here. So we've been catching this Lexus who is trying to do the no stop. He's on hard tyres, he's got no front tyres left. We go for a bit of a, not quite an ambitious move around the outside of this corner here. We gave the Lexus plenty of room, we weren't given any room back, understeered into us, put us onto the grass, we clipped them, they go off the track, and the result is that the game gives us a 5 second penalty. So not very good. Pretty much undid all the work over the sort of first part of the video. First part of the race, and you can see there we finished with a white SR rating for this one, so at least we never lost any further SR, but we never gained any either. So once again we were still in the naughty lobbies as we move into race number 3, and you could just see from this lobby here that quite a few drivers are certainly having trouble with losing their sportsmanship rating. In a lobby like this, it's unusual to see quite so many A+ drivers. I recognise most of the names in the sort of positions 1 to 8 there, so definitely a race where your sportsmanship rating is at risk, that is for sure. However, it did at least make this race a little bit more interesting. We did set a qualifying time by now, not a very good one by any means, just to try and avoid the crazies towards the back of the grid. So order of the day for this race, same as the last one, was to keep our nose clean, avoid incidents, and sort of build that sportsmanship rating back up to 99. So we're in the Toyota Supra, the sort of car you could get from completing the survey maybe about a year ago. Quite a rare car to see in Group 4. And we're on the hard tyres to give us the option of doing either the no stop or the one stop. And really, all we did in this race was sort of take advantage of other people making mistakes. As you've seen, those two cars went wide into the tricky right-hander. Some cars were pitted in front of us. Other cars were going off the track. The poor Spaniard to the right hand side there is in the wall and then gets reset, so that was up to 5th place. And then I'm going to assume that this driver here serving a penalty was the driver that put the Spaniard off. So there's another position made up. That put us up into 4th place on the hard tyres, and at this point we decided we were going to actually pit and put on the mediums to be a little bit quicker towards the end of the race. So out the last corner we come. Another very tricky corner on this course, it has to be said. Quite easy to get it wrong and sort of brake just a little bit too late and put it in the barrier. But we get through there fairly safely and we come into the pit lane now. So get rid of those hard tyres, we're going to put the medium tyres on. If you look up in the top right hand corner, we have two cars, two Audi TTs coming down the sort of pit straight, and they're going to come into very close proximity to us as we leave the pits. Now I did look behind and I only seen one car, and that was the car that was going to my right hand side, so I did leave the door open for that car, and I never seen Matthias, the German there, coming down the outside, and he just gives me the slightest little bit of a clip as he makes that move and picks up a 3-second penalty, which is extremely unfortunate for that driver. Maybe a little bit my fault. As I said, I looked behind as I came out of the pits and I only seen the one car, and it was the Spaniard that was going to the right hand side, so that was the driver I gave space to, and unfortunately, as I said, Matthias has clipped us there and picked up a unjustified 3-second penalty, it has to be said. So yeah, Matthias served that penalty, another couple of drivers pitted. That put us up into 3rd place, and managed to get a clean race bonus for this one as well, I believe. This was to get us back up to SR99 as well, so all good stuff there. Yeah, 3rd place finish though, from 9th place on the grid. As I said, a lot of the drivers in the sort of top 10 were pretty highly rated drivers, so a fairly decent result, particularly in a car that's probably not that well suited to the track. Pretty good in the handling sections, but not very good down the long straights, and it's definitely a power circuit, this one, where you need plenty of oomph and ponies down those straights. So moving on to the feature race of this video, we're back in top split, back up with the highest rated drivers that were playing at the time, and we've decided to change car for this one as well. We're in the Aston Martin V8 Vantage. This was the car we used in the strategy guide. Quite enjoyed driving it, I thought it was quite well suited to the track. Good balance of speed and handling. So this video is this race here, sorry, is to be pretty manic, it has to be said, for the first 3 laps. But we fast forward here on around about the first minute of the race to where the action really starts. So most of the cars in front of us were Audi TTs, and the Audi TT is probably the fastest car around the track in terms of outright speed over 1 lap. But a lot of drivers were really struggling to sort of make the tyres last a sensible distance. So after about 2 laps, a lot of drivers are starting to go backwards. There is drivers out there who are able to sort of make the tyres last. Sort of getting the tyres to last on the Audi TT does require a particular driving style. You've really got to look after those front tyres and minimise wheel spin on corner exit. Generally using a sort of slightly higher gear than what you might be expecting is probably the best way to do that. Very fast down the straight as well, the Audi TT, but along the longest straight in this one, the Aston Martin actually starts to come back on it quite rapidly. So an interesting race in prospect here. As I said, we're in the sort of lone Aston Martin, and we're going to be sort of battling with could only be described as a gaggle of Audi TTs. So midway through lap 1 here, we've made up 1 position. We've went from 10th place to 9th place, and we're going to lose that place just as quickly as we gained it. As the Spaniard throws it down the inside there, we did run a little bit wide, so that's all fair and good. Now we're on the hard tyres here. I'm giving myself the option of doing the non-stop or doing the one-stop, depending on how the race unfolds. I was kind of swaying towards the non-stop, and I felt that was probably a slightly better strategy for me here. I wasn't entirely sure, obviously, what tyres a lot of these cars were on, but I knew if there was, well, I could see at this point there was going to be quite a lot of battling as this race unfolded. If I could just hold on with these cars until they all started pitting, then we should be in pretty good shape come sort of the end of lap number 3. So coming towards the end of the lap here, you can see cars going side by side. Audi TT, the Spaniard, that takes another dive down the inside there, gets the move made, but it's all kind of good for me in the end because it all just means that these drivers are holding them, each other up in the slipstream here down one of the long straights as well. You can see the Audi TT pull just slightly away on the acceleration zones, particularly in the opening stages, but it's still, the tyres are still in pretty good shape, but the Aston Martin comes back nicely towards the end. We're just giving ourselves a little bit of margin of error there in the braking zone as well. As you've seen earlier in the video, it was very easy to get caught out by a car just sort of breaking a little bit more than you expected, and all you have to really do in this game at the moment is give the back end of another car the merest of taps, and you can very easily pick up a 1 second penalty. And given that you serve that 1 second penalty on the longest straight in the game, that 1 second penalty turns into around about maybe 2 to 3, maybe even 4 seconds of a loss at times. So the yellow flags were out there, and there was a car in the wall to the left hand side. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but it was the Finnish driver that's started on pole position. So something's happened up there. I'm not entirely sure if it's just been a mistake or if he's been given a little bit of assistance into the wall. I've not looked back on the replay, but again, well, good for us at the end of the day. We make up a position and we're up into 8th place here. And we're holding on very nicely with these Audi TTs, who I suspect are all on medium tyres. So the sort of more I can hold on to them, the further this race goes on, the more their tyres will start wearing, the better shape we get in with each passing corner. So you make an example here as we come out of the sort of tight hairpin, just the Audi TT. In the acceleration zone there, it manages to pull out quite a gap. But as we sort of get to the sort of higher bandwidth on the power, our car starts to come back a little bit. You can see there that we're actually struggling to keep up with them, though the Audi TT in front has obviously got a good slipstream. It's what looks like a car up here has served a penalty. That was the guy that was leading, so possibly he has been responsible for knocking the Finnish driver off the track. We go up the inside of the Audi TT, but round this corner here we have no chance. The Audi TT is just incredible round that corner for some reason. We have a wee look down round the outside there. Dutchman gives us the room. All well and good. Kind of compromises our line out the corner though. We don't get on the power very well, and look at those Audi TTs just disappear in the acceleration zone. So you're going to hear me say that quite a lot over this video. But you can see they're all side by side up there. As I said, it could only be described as a gaggle of cars, so they're just going to be holding each other up left, right and centre. This was all good for me. As I said, I was pretty sure most of these drivers were probably medium tyres. And as I said, as each corner passes or each lap passes, they're just going to be getting slower and slower and slower. It's going to be a lot easier for us to keep up with them. So all sorts of moves going on, all sorts of side by side action, but nobody picking up penalties. Doesn't even look like there's been very much contact, to be honest with you. We take a wee look down the inside here as one of those cars was compromised out the previous corner, and then that driver then throws it back up the inside into the next corner. So all good close quarter battling, racing, everybody giving each other room, a bit of racing respect, which was nice to see. As I said, very few penalties or any contact I had seen had been made amongst all these drivers that I was battling with. Maybe not the most sensible way to race, if you ask me. You lose a lot of time driving this way, but it is just what it is. You can only sort of race who you've got in front of you at the end of the day. You can see up ahead here, I think they're going 3 wide into the hairpin here. Somebody's got it completely wrong, 4th place there. Causes a bit of confusion on the exit. There's going to be a drag race between 3 Audi TTs and an Aston Martin down into a corner where there's really only one line. So not a great situation. I don't like these situations at all. We just sort of decide to come off the throttle a little bit. We're quite happy to filter into the back, but then everybody brakes a little bit early and it turns into an overtaking manoeuvre. Actually quite a clean and quite a good overtaking manoeuvre in the end, it has to be said. So we're up to 6th place now and going on to the beginning of lap 3. There's a possibility some of these Audi TTs might decide to pit. And there we go, somebody filters off into the pit lane, getting rid of those, only doing 2 laps on the medium tyres. He's obviously decided that all this battling is pointless, going to try and find a bit of clean air to actually sort of do some proper lap times. And it's probably not a terrible idea. If you look at our lap time there, we did a 3 minute 50.1. Now on the hard tyres on the Aston Martin, I can just about get into the 46s on lap 2 if I get a half decent lap. And on the medium tyres you really should be in the 45s and maybe even the high 44s. So it just goes to show how much time a lot of these drivers are losing with all the battling. And if they're on the medium tyres, that's going to be far more detrimental to their race than it is to my race. Being on the hard tyres, it's all working out to my advantage. So closing up on P4 here through the sweeping corners. Maybe I just got the line slightly wrong. I haven't hit the brakes, get on the anchors pretty steeply there to avoid contact with the back of Hubis. And we're going to be furthering a train here as we go on to the long main straight, and we're going to get a good slipstream here again. As I said several times already, the Audis just pull away in the acceleration zone, but once we sort of get up to sort of higher speeds, the Aston Martin, as you can see here, very much comes into its own, and we're going to make a double pass long before the end of the straight. So all of a sudden I am now leading our little merry band of squabblers halfway through lap number 3, and given that we're on the hard tyre, and I'm pretty sure a lot of these drivers are on the medium tyre, we are in pretty good shape to pick up a sort of pretty good result here. Maybe even go for second place, who's not too far down the road, as you can see there. Onto the bridge for the third time. Going to have to go a little bit defensive here, as the German is going to take a look down the outside. Not a great place though to pass around the outside into this left-hander here, which is off camber. Just going to get a bucket load of understeer. As you can see, we comfortably managed to defend that move there and open up a little bit of a gap. Coming up to one of the trickiest corners on the circuit here, this right-hander. Sort of breaking halfway down the curb is what I tend to do, this curb here to the left. Halfway down that, very easy to get this corner wrong, understeer wide. I think I actually did a little bit earlier on when one of the drivers managed to overtake me. But we can't lose this German here, and he's going to go for the move down into the inside of this right-hander. We see it coming, he gives us room on the outside, we give him room on the inside, and into the next right-hander he's going to complete that overtake. So not too bad for us. As I said, we are in pretty good shape at this point in the race with the hard tyres, and we are going to go for the no stop. So it'll be interesting to see how many of these drivers are going to be pitting at the end of this lap. We're still in the slipstream here, we're not finished with the German. Got another straight coming up. Hopefully I can go for maybe a move into the left-hander at the end of that straight. Into the hairpin we come. Now as the laps go down, these Audi TTs really struggle for traction out of that corner. So the Audi TTs are obviously front wheel drive cars, so all their power, all their steering and acceleration all goes through the front tyres. So as the race goes on, they start to wear those tyres out and they really struggle for traction. Now we could have went for the move there, but we just decided to back out of it. As I said, got a funny feeling a lot of these drivers were going to be pitting. The German does make a mistake out the last corner there, and that puts us taking a little bit of a look down the left hand side here, but the pit lane is also to the left hand side, and as I said, spidey senses were telling me he was going to pit, so I didn't want to end up getting knocked into the pit lane with him. You can see behind there a lot of other drivers have also pitted, and all of a sudden all the fun and games are over, all the sort of close battling is over, and we're pretty much on our own in third place. Couple of laps to run, and let's see if we can hunt down P2. Now as we do that, let me just talk about this race. If you haven't entered this race already or don't know this track, then I can only urge you to get out there and race it. It's an absolutely fantastic race. It's a great track. Lots of fun to be had out there. If you've not been doing this race for whatever reason, then I do recommend it very much. So come towards the end of lap 4 here, you can see we've closed down a nearly 3-second gap to Mr. Smith here. We're in the slipstream on the back straight. We should be able to maybe complete this move before the end of the lap. Audi TT doesn't go defensive. I think he knows this one's all over. As I said, I think we closed down 3 seconds over the course of the lap, so it's really, there's no point in that driver defending it too hard. It looks like they're maybe going for the no stop as well on the Audi TT, which is pretty brave given the sort of tyre wear. And we do a little magical transition there to the end of lap number 5, and we're going to pick up a second place finish. So an interesting race. It was a really good race, lots of battle in very close quarters. I'm always in two minds on whether I actually enjoy racing that way or whether I'm just more scared than anything else about what other drivers are doing around me. But we managed to survive it on this occasion. We pick up the second place. We started in 10th, 8 positions gained. Not a bad result in anybody's books, I think it's fair to say. So that's the end of the video. Please do hit that like button, please do hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you like what we're doing on the channel, hit that thumbs down if you don't like what I'm doing, or give me some constructive criticism. I'm always open to anything like that. And feel free to leave a comment, I'll do my very best to get back to you. But until the next video, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you on the next one. Goodbye now.